This white stretch of sand on the Kenyan coast is one of the few places in the world where skydivers can jump out over the ocean and land on the beach year-round.
It is globally a sport that has a reputation for just being full of wonderful people, and it's probably down to the fact that what we do is a little bit weird, really.
It is also one of the only fully operational, permanently established skydiving centers on the continent outside of South Africa.
I have to be very careful, always very careful.
This is the highly skilled and committed team that makes it possible. This is Inside Africa.
My name is Saidi Bakari Chanda. I work at Skydiving and I'm the chief parker there, meaning I can park parachutes.
Skydiving started by complete chance, where a bunch of skydivers found themselves in Kenya and were missing their passion, missing their sport. We floated the concept of what if we started a skydive centre here in Kenya? And then 6 weeks later, we had Skydiving. It was a very new idea for a permanent facility here. We're particularly unique globally because we get to land on the beach, and there are only this many drop zones, skydive centres, in the world that can enjoy that luxury.
I craved for being one of the parachute parkers and talked to the boss and I inquired for us to be a parker at the desert, and they told me, yeah, you can come. It was on 2015 that I was taken for a tandem by Mr. Gary, my boss. That was my first time to be on a plane, and I jumped out.
Yeah, so Saidi, I think he's been with us from the start, actually. First of all, he was a security officer, so he was working night shifts at the Skydive Centre. And then slowly, in his days off and stuff, he would come down and we'd teach him how to pack a parachute.
I'm gonna do that, and then come and do the brakes. Our friend George, get off, George. Is this chief supervisor.
He then started to be trained in the maintenance side and the rigging.
I wanted to be a rigger.
In skydiving, we have quite a lot of complicated equipment to maintain and repair.
When I pull this, I used to keep these lines in their position.
We had a big event last December. So we asked for a lady in the UK who's a, badass rigger to come over and really and help us keep on top of all our equipment during that boogie in December. Saidi was just so enthused and keen to learn that he basically just became her shadow for a month.
The person who told me to park a reserve, she is from England. Her name is Karen. She made her own. She made her own parachute. She is personal parker of guess who? Tom Cruise.
In 2017, Saidi began the intensive training program necessary in order to earn his rigging certificate.
It is a very specific qualification, actually. So riggers are specifically trained and authorized in certain aspects of that preparation and maintenance. We have two parachutes when we skydive, right? We have our main parachute and then we have a backup in case something happens to that main parachute.
The first step in rigor training for Saidi was learning to pack the critically important reserve chute.
The jumping of the parachute is the reserve, because I think that's the primary, not the main, because that's the one which will save the life.
On 18 May 2018, following months of work under Karen's supervision and assessment by the Kenyan Civil Aviation Authority, Saidi was awarded his official rigging permit and certificate.
Yeah, I have it. Wanna see it? Okay, let's go! In Kenya, there's no one who has it except me. I'm the first one who did the course. My mom liked it because that's a new thing in Kenya. If it's driving, we have so many drivers. If it's plumbers, we have so many plumbers. If it's mechanics, we have so many, but there's no riggers.
Today, Saidi is bringing his own students into the game, training Othman from Morocco on the complex inner workings of the parachute.
How I do it? If you find this way hard, I'll show you another.
Okay, no, I want to go with the normal way. I had no idea of how complex it is to pack it back. I do kite surfing, so I get to play with lines, but it's nothing like that. This is a hard job. This is really a hard job. I don't know how they do it.
And this could be here when the canopy opens.
Yeah, so it takes everything with it.
Sometimes goes off.
Yeah.
So
and then you start.
When it goes off, you're spinning.
Yeah, and that spin is not okay. I told you, like every second of this thing is important.
Yeah.
Can we take a 2-minute break?
Huh?
My brain is about to.
Okay.
Ahead, student Othman tries the parachute he's just learned to pack in order to earn his skydiving A license certification. On the shores of the Indian Ocean, Africa's skydiving pros have gathered to coach beginner students in this high-altitude, high-adrenaline sport.
My name's Oliver Newton. I've got 2,500 skydives. Been in the sport 12 and a half years, not stopping anytime soon.
My name is Othman. I've been in the sport for less than a week.
6 days. Yeah.
11 jumps and 11 great memories.
From the north of Africa to its southern tip, athletes of every level come together here on Kenya's Diani Beach.
11, you know how it sounds to me when I hear that number?
No, I wish I was where you are. Could have all that fun again, man.
The anxiety, what do you do with it?
You just put it back, man. It's like skydiving is like having a good gin and tonic. In the beginning, it's like a really badly poured gin and tonic. So like that much gin is your fear, and then that much tonic is your excitement. Whereas the more you skydive, the better the relation becomes, where your fear gets just the right amount to keep you safe, and the rest is the excitement.
I think this needs to be in the books.
Othman from Morocco and Anne-Marie from Kenya are recent graduates of the Accelerated Freefall course, skydiving's most basic level of certification. Anne-Marie went for her first tandem jump with a group of girlfriends at the end of 2017.
Seeing the aircraft was my first shock. It was a tiny plane, no door. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know. And it sounds ridiculous, but I did not expect that speed and that sort of, you know, that sensation. And it was sensory overload in so many ways. Nerve-wracking, terrifying experience. But oh my God, it was so exhilarating that I literally landed on the beach, and thought, oh my God, I want to be able to do this on my own.
That moment where you're in the plane, or just before when you're about to board, etc., this is where the stress comes. And I think that's what the sport is about. Take charge of yourself. You know you can do it. But again, the anxiety is what gets you from, I think, from a jumper to a really good one.
So my first landing was actually terrible. Terrible. Because I was so tense that, you know, sort of 1,000 feet above the ground, my body was aching. I couldn't control the parachute at all. I could hear the instructor say, come on, Anne-Marie, steer right. And I couldn't. And basically, it was quite a windy day. I drifted off and I couldn't hear the radio anymore. And I was on my own, landed face down, you know, in the sand, far away from, you know, the actual landing area. And getting up and pretending to be okay. And there were these kids looking at me. I mean, I looked like a ghost. I was covered in white sand. That I thought, okay, you know, that was bad. But I woke up in the morning and I was like, you know what, if I don't go back today, I'm never going to do it.
Anne-Marie did go back that day and the days after. Now she's working toward the A license, which will allow her to jump in groups with other skydivers. Under AFF curriculum, 25 jumps are required.
Right now I'm still very, let's say, a baby in the sport. I can see and I can already feel, I mean, next to my anxiety, there is pure joy and pure bliss once you're in the air. Basically what you're hearing at that moment is that you can fly. And that's why I guess people get into the sport. They want to fly. But the moment you're stable and you feel like you're in control, yeah, this is something I'll never forget.
So getting ready, first thing is to put on the altimeter. This just helps keep track of altitude, you know, during free fall and all the way down to landing. Got my goggles, very important, and then the rig here, which is what I was checking, you know, that it's all set and all safe to go. They could do forward flips and back flips and barrel rolls and all sorts of things, and you know, but in between each of them, you know, come back to your belly to earth, as they call it, the most stable position, and that's fun. That's really good fun. So for me, I've had horrible, very close, you know, near misses. Then there's seeing the sea. Then there's seeing the land, seeing all the trees, people on the beach, camels. I mean, there's a lot that goes on, you know, in my head. So for me, it's helped me to surrender in terms of you're never going to be fully in control of everything. I'm very big right now on, you know, embracing midlife. So I feel it's a really cool thing as well, you know, to be able to do. But it's a very short journey. You know, I think I've only done 23 jumps now, 24. And each experience is so totally different. And also, some jumps are better than other jumps. The feeling that I have when I'm back on the ground is amazing. And it doesn't matter how bad it was. And I might be a little bit scared, and but I want to go back up again and try it.
This is Anne-Marie's 24th jump, the next to last before she is evaluated to receive the A license.
Oh my God, it was kind of nerve-wracking because it was very different to any jump I've gone on before without a coach. So, you know, I kind of needed to figure things out a little bit myself.
Good job, really good job.
Thank you. No, it wasn't.
I was very anxious at the start of it, mainly because it's the first one I've done since my last one was about a month ago. Just the comparison, the contrast, you know, the feeling really anxious ahead of the jump, trying to, you know, do my deep breathing and imagining that it's going to be the best jump ever. You know, just the feeling that I get when I land. And I'm like, wow, I want to go back up now.
Sure. And do you know why that is? The anxiety you've been feeling on the ground as you were going up is the main reason why you get that euphoria at the end. So you have overcome your anxiety. So the negative will bring the positive, like everything in life, but especially in skydiving. Ready for your 25th?
So ready.
So ready. All right,
so
cool.
Ready.
Let's go do it.
It'll do good.
Finally, you know.
There are people that find it natural and find it easy when they go through the skydiving school, and there are people that find it more challenging. And Anne-Marie was definitely in that latter bracket. She did find it a little bit tricky, particularly in the early stages, but she persevered and she worked hard at it, and she graduates on her next jump.
If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have said there's absolutely no way. But that's the beauty, that we never know. We never know until we're there.
License in hand, Anne-Marie and Uthman are now cleared to jump in formation with groups of advanced skydivers. And just in time, as Diani now prepares to host extreme athletes from around the world for an international skydiving boogie.
Welcome to Diani Beach Club.
It's a boogie where we'll be having so many parachutes in the air. You'll be amazed because you see how I say when I want to be a parachutist some days.
The team at Skydive Diani is getting ready to host a boogie here on Kenya's Swahili coast.
A few times a year, we put together events where we open the doors to skydivers from all around the world and say, come and see what it's like in Kenya. Come and jump with us, come and land on the beach. Effectively, they're skydiving festivals. We call them boogies, so it's the skydiving boogie.
It's good, it's fun. They're just fun to be with them, it's just good.
What is a boogie?
Good question. You know, on the flight down, I was actually thinking, I don't know why it's called a boogie.
A boogie is more of an event that brings so many skydivers together. So everyone gets together, different types of skydivers, like there's different types of skydiving.
The skydiving safari meets African warmness on an island holiday. That's what that Skydive Diani boogie is for me.
Right then, gang, let's talk about the day, because it's going to be mental.
75 expert skydivers are parachuting into Diani Beach for a week-long boogie. The team is ready, from coaches to packers, ground crew to pilots.
My name is Amar Lakani. I'm a commercial pilot working for Skydive Diani.
My name is Curtis Gitonga, commercial professional pilot.
So, once they land here, mate, we can't fly until about 9:30 because of the tide. So, on the bus for breakfast, and then once the tide goes out, we'll be jumping. We'll be jumping all day today, fortunately. We can jump all the way through the sunset. So, that's going to be...
7 to 8 loads at least on the van.
Yeah, we'll probably be doing twice that, actually, because these guys are going to want to jump hard like they always do. Definitely the calm before the storm. It's about to get absolutely insane.
No, most of the flights are involved as you take off, climb up to 12,000 feet, drop the jumper, and come down as fast as possible. We try to make it from engine start, including the taxi, the takeoff, the descent, the landing, engine shutdown, less than 30 minutes. All right, let me show you guys something pretty interesting. This is the pilot's bailout rig, basically a parachute that you'd wear. This is only packed by one person every 10 years if it's never used. This is specifically for skydiving. Pilot schools don't teach you how to use reserve chutes.
They don't practice you flying without a door.
Yeah.
For beginning, so yeah, it's a new experience.
So basically that's it, you set up, it's like a school bag. Carry this, make sure you're nice and snug. In case anything goes wrong, point the aircraft into the sea or something where it's away from people. Jump.
Yeah, move it back a little bit. It's drier here. So when we have these skydiving festivals, these boogies, obviously there's an awful lot of organising and running that needs to happen. So we always call on people to help us. On this occasion, we've got Ollie from South Africa and we've got Youssef from Morocco. I mean, they've been here multiple times before. We work really well together. They're really committed, keen and hard-working guys. So we would never think about holding a boogie without them.
Back, boom, leg, chest, belly, boom.
In addition to managing flight schedules, safety and props for the boogie, Ollie and Youssef keep business running by taking jittery first-timers up for a bucket list skydive.
So the way this works is the harness surrounds it to kind of like a cage. So we really make 100% sure that you stay inside. You'll be all right, I promise you.
I hope so.
Between exiting the plane and deploying the parachute, divers experience up to 60 seconds of high-speed freefall, and that's where the experts can get creative.
Within that period, there are multiple disciplines within the sport that people can either specialise in or just become a bit of a generalist. Yeah, as you can see, that this is where the jump plane is at the moment. Ollie's coming down the coastline, just having a fly over the landing area. To offer people that come into Kenya for the first time, what they do is they land into Mombasa International. We then pick them up in a skydive plane, and then they just come and jump in here, arriving like rock stars.
And rock stars they are, descending on this otherwise quiet stretch of Kenyan beach. Parachuting pros and first-time tandem jumpers receive a warm welcome.
I would love to see more, particularly more Kenyan women, get into it. And if nothing else, for the very fact that guaranteed they would learn something new about themselves.
You can fly.
Oh, I can fly, just flew.